What's up, guys? Welcome in. It is a Dillon Gabriel film room that we need to continue to push for. These take a while. I will admit the quarterback room, film room stuff takes longer because I really want to give you a full comprehensive look at the player and really the pieces of their game I like, the pieces of their game that make me uneasy, and then how they translate, to the league and what is hindering them, what is going to work in their favor. All of that stuff gets a little more defined, right? And I think you can do a lot with their college tape. We know rookie minicamp actively going right now and is going to help kind of clear some of that stuff up. But those are secondhand reports. So getting in the film room, seeing what the Browns watched exclusively from last year, obviously, to me, paints a pretty good picture of who the player is, what he can do in Cleveland, what they liked about him, and then ultimately, the pieces that fit this sort of organization structure, and then where I think he can get to versus where I think I'm kind of nervous about the player as well. So there's a good amount of film here. There's literally the longest I've had, 20 minutes of film on Gabriel. We don't need to really go through the measurables. He didn't test, and he didn't give us anything outside of what we know, which is the bottom percentile of scores there. So we're going to get into Gabriel's film and spend our time there. Let's get going with that film right now. All right, so you trace Gabriel back, and I think you kind of watch some of the Oklahoma tape. He spent a couple of years there. If you know the story, he went to UCF and spent his first part of his college career there, spent 2 years at Oklahoma, found really good success there, and then obviously took that to, the part of his experience, took that to Oregon, and that final year he could be eligible. So you really you can't ignore the stuff from his 22, 23-year-old film before you get to the 24-year-old stuff. Here is his career was a longer one due to injury and some other aspects that he was allowed to use. But the Oklahoma tape, what stood out to me, and it's a lot of gun stuff, it's a lot of deep passing, is that he can really put it on the money. And I mean, the downfield passing accuracy, I think, is some of the best in the class, and throws a really catchable football. And it popped up across the Oklahoma tape. And we're going to get granular, but I did want to show you some of this stuff that I watched from his Oklahoma days that stood out to me. Just kind of, again, the footwork in the pocket is really clean. And I think he's got an ability, despite not having the best arm in the class, to have enough arm where his body maybe isn't going into it and still get the football where it needs to be. Now, a lot of that is anticipatory. It's driven by, I need to get the football out at this time. You obviously, you guys know, as quarterbacks with stronger arms can be a little later to the arrival point, right? The destination, the understanding. Quarterbacks with softer velocity, quarterbacks with just less ability to drive a football have to be a little earlier, which creates a harder game, right? If you got to be earlier to get the football where it needs to get, that means you need to be able to anticipate it at a supremely high level, and that means you obviously need to get the football out a lot faster than your counterparts. What, again, I liked at Oklahoma, what I wanted to give you a display of was just the ability to place the football vertically downfield. That was the best part of his tape. The Oregon stuff is we're going to get very deep in the weeds on, but the vertical stuff down the field was so good at Oklahoma. It was easy to see the draw paired with that athleticism that would make a program like Oregon want to bring him in. And obviously, I think is a draw to what the Browns like about him too, is that, yeah, maybe he's not a 70 yards in the air vertical football throw, but he understands processing this concept defensively, what they're giving him, and getting it out of his hands to reach sort of that maximum ability his arm can provide. And the Oklahoma tape was littered with it. So listen, let's get into some of his his Oregon stuff. And we're going to go kind of categorically and look at the things that we liked from last year, and especially what drew the Browns to him. So again, vertical deep shots where I think he's putting it in a bucket, allowing his man to win vertically with ease down the field as often as he can, whether it's placing it on the sideline. We always were taught kind of that 3 from the sideline rule to keep him moving vertically, running after the catch, or to back shoulder him, know when to stop him, know when the leverage is off. I think that stands out on tape pretty clearly to me. His ability to, and again, you're looking here, far hash, right? So you're talking far hash to cross field, needing to drive this football outside. You're not really getting, if you look at his launch point, right? So if you go through his footwork, we're going to go off the fake, 1, 2, 3, hop step, not really launching a ton of momentum forward because of the interior pressure, but putting this football right where it needs to be, anticipating when it needs to be released, and giving his guy a vertical chance down the sideline. It always stands out to me when you can again, it's a difference. You got to understand there's a difference between being able to throw it 70, 75 yards, but releasing it a little later versus those guys who can do it a little bit earlier and still get to the maximum amount of arm strength necessary, right? Here against Wisconsin, again, coming off the front side glance, coming to the backside one-on-one, identifying, recognizing, taking a hit, putting it right where it needs to be up the sideline. Here's a good end zone view at it. I think this is a plus. So I'm going through the scouting reports. The deep ball passing is a plus. I think he's got a lot of accuracy, and I think he can do it without the cleanest base. I think he can do it slightly altering arm angles, and he can put the football where it needs to be based on the leverage of the corner that he's throwing it up against, okay? So deep ball accuracy, really good. What I also like is his ability to throw the middle of the field, all right? So this is a big point of contention. He's a 5'11 quarterback, probably wearing shoes. 5'11, maybe pushing 6 foot. As a guy who played small college football, I can empathize. Seeing the middle of the field is really challenging, right? I played nowhere near the level of Dillon Gabriel. I'm nowhere near as talented. I am just referencing what I experienced while trying to play football as a shorter quarterback at that 6 foot mark, right? Most of the guys in front of you on the D line, bigger than you. Most of the guys in front of you on your offensive line, clearly bigger than you. So you have to find passing windows. And what you will see very often with shorter quarterbacks, Russell Wilson is a really good example of this, is they prefer to ignore the middle of the field as much as they possibly can because it is the most challenging portion to find, read out, and throw for short quarterbacks because you have to find those passing windows. So again, what we're going to talk through is how he's not afraid to throw throws that usually are reserved for taller quarterbacks, okay? So we got a stack here. I want to kind of talk through some alignment stuff, and we're going to try to mesh this vertical into the window on this look against cover 3. And I think Ohio State, we're going to talk about what coverage they're going to roll into. It does look like it's an interesting variation because they're playing this bottom of the field safeties running to the middle third. So you do get a pretty good window pulled open. They like to play Caleb Downs right here, right? Play him in the low hole and kind of disrupt any intermediate throws. So this over the top has to be put in a very tight box right here before Lathan Ransom here can get over top of it, right? So we're running basically 4 verticals from that stacked alignment. We got to put it in that window, shield him from the safety that's going to hit him, and let him protect himself. He does this really well. On these seam-based throws, which he's really good at, again, finding the windows he needs to find. That's not the cleanest window. I mean, you got to see over, around, and through people, and you are throwing. And Drew Brees talked about this, about his career, about finding, like, there are going to be blind spots for shorter quarterbacks at a higher rate than taller quarterbacks. Now, there are times taller quarterbacks, you're just not going to see everything. I think we see that with, if you want to be like the most pressing example, Joe Flacco is a good example of, like, sometimes you don't see it. It's impossible for quarterbacks to constantly see everything. But the rate at which you see things as a taller quarterback, obviously easier to do than a shorter quarterback. So what you have to do is feel comfortable knowing that I can anticipate what's going on downfield, pre-snap to post-snap. Now, good throwing lane right here. Can see everything I want to see, right? But as we know, this football is being driven into this area here on this throw. So again, I have a window there, and if I need to work my eyes down the middle again, I have a window here, and knowing that this window right here, because of a blitzing backer, because of an edge rusher, and because of where your guard is standing, is going to be blocked. So you have to be able to, like I said, this is the challenging part for these guys. You have to be able to process this window to this window, right? Knowing that there is a blind spot that you cannot see anything into here. So this is where these guys have to be gifted. As you can see him work the first window to the second window on the throw about what's going on downfield. You have to be a savant about how coverage works, rotations, and placement. And you also have to be as precise with the football to give your guys a chance to protect themselves as possible on downfield, middle of the field throws. All right. Next one, looking at, again, an empty set. Looks like the ball snapped a little unexpectedly, but we're looking at how's the coverage rotate. All right. They're playing a variation of cover 3, right? Or they're playing like a little split field coverage where they're playing man to the bottom of the field, a cover 3 variation to the high side, split side. This is an actually interesting look from Oregon State, right? I think I don't always go through these and process every part of this, but it's got some man look, but it's got some zone look. but you do get a lot of man eyes. So I'm actually thinking you are going to get a middle drop, a zone drop, and you're playing man free. So what you are trying to do here for Gabriel is trying to process which one of these middle of the field vertical routes can we get to. We don't like the left side. We know that we're going to get an outside jab right here and work back inside as we work inside here. So then it's about placing it in a spot that only your guy can get to over the top of outstretched arms. And these middle of the field throws, he does a really good job with. Great job. Athleticism is a plus. I know he didn't test, and I know I've been a little critical of this, but I do think he's a plus athlete to the point that he can survive in the NFL. He's not a sitting duck. He's not a Case Keenum. He's not a Kellen Moore athlete. He's a better athlete, right? And he's not afraid to launch these footballs in this window, knowing where his arm's going to be driving it around this chaos. He does it well. The height shows up less than I think. Now, I'm going to show you later where it does, but it shows up less than you would think for a player of his stature. And it has to. It's a great ball. It has to for him to find success. All right. Right side coming back, deep middle. So we're getting a little cover 3 late rotation. Selling, we're getting a mug front up here. This is one of the more difficult things to do as a quarterback is, oh boy, how many of these guys are coming? This looks like man or man here. Probably going to be some variation of man here. They're banjoing it or whatever they want to do. This looks like man everywhere. We're going to bring 6 guys. Tough for quarterbacks to handle, right? Don't like it. But he's calm. 1, 2, 3. Processes the zone rotations that are happening and that they only bring enough that he can block, steps up into the pocket. I'm telling you guys, man, a lot of quarterbacks, bad habits right here. When guys punch out and we get a guy coming from depth, do I have the answer protection-wise to sit in and throw this? No, it's not perfect for him. There are times where blitzes, either his lineman doesn't get to it or they don't maybe make the right check and he takes a sack here or there. But for the most part, in these 1, 2, 3 setups, step up into the pocket, understand where my answer can be vertically on this play. I want to pursue chunk plays. Could he throw it here? Sure. But I want to pursue chunk plays. I got 2 guys I'm out leveraging right here. Can I beat this football up the field and throw for a touchdown? I love it, right? I love it. I love chasing these big plays. This is such a good job in a chaotic drop back to step up, drive up, and throw this into a window. And he puts it right where his guy can get it. Now, better arm, bigger arm, could possibly drive this football better, right? He's not an elite arm, but he certainly knows how to put that over-the-top touch on the football to give his guy a chance. Here's a look at it, right? He reads right side, so he processes where that safety is rolling. He knows the safety on the right is rolling middle, and that he's got a great chance on that left side skinny to bang that thing up there before he can get, that safety can get there in time. It's a good job here. Boom, climb the pocket. And he really puts it. It's a tough catch. It would be a tough catch. But he puts it where his guy can get it. All right. So an example of like where the arm is a little short, but also how he can process as a shorter quarterback working side to side. Back and empty again, which is something the Browns, when Stefanski's running things, is not afraid to use. Michigan's got a 5-man down front, looking like a little pressure might happen, right? They roll one out. Where's our answer? Well, we're going to the left side. We're looking at a little hitch with the skinny on the bottom of the screen. A little 3-man route variation, a little shock concept. So you're getting a stick out, a hitch, and a slot fade. Over here, we're getting slot and a skinny. And we want to figure out where's the safety rotating. Safety, the only deep safety is on the hash. Where is he rotating? Well, he's rotating off the hash, right? And if he's rotating off the hash and we don't have anyone carrying middle, we got a chance to throw this skinny if we put it right where our guy can get it and protect himself. See that? Put it down and away, let him protect himself and not take a hit. He's really good at this. Really good at it. Again, working those eyes right side. Don't like what I see there off the snap. Like to see the safety is rotate. See him notice 28 rotating off the hash. Come back to it. Put it right there where he can get down on the ground and protect himself and get a chunk play.